David Bowden in La Réunion. Thank you. Sorry to bring you this news this lunchtime that the television presenter and singer Cilla Black has died at her home in Spain, age 72. Let's talk to Sky's Enda Brady, who's here, and we must stress at this stage, Enda, these are reports. We heard this news a while ago. We've been trying to firm up those reports. What do we have that we are certain about?
Just those reports coming in from Spain that Cilla Black has passed away overnight at the age of 72, apparently from natural causes. Tributes pouring in already. Hugely popular entertainer and a great singer in the 60s. She had a fantastic career. Piers Morgan, the TV star and former newspaper editor, he interviewed her for Life Stories, and he's just tweeted, "Great life, great talent, great star, now reunited with her Bobby." And that, of course, was Cilla's husband, Bobby, who passed away some 16 years ago. So reports just coming in from Spain. She had been to her property in Marbella. She has 3 sons, and she had flown out to Spain just a couple of days ago with one of her sons for a break. And overnight, reports coming in that Cilla has passed away at the age of 72, apparently from natural causes. No confirmation from the family just yet. The difficulty there is that her agent is also her son, and he's obviously trying to get everything sorted out before making that official statement. But certainly the reports are coming in that Cilla Black has passed away overnight in Spain at the age of 72.
Also seeing on Twitter, Carol Vorderman, MBE, tweeting, "Cilla was one of the funniest women to lunch with. Anyone who had a heart, well, you had the biggest. We'll miss you." Yeah,
that was a song that she had the hit with in the 60s. Yeah, that was what rocketed her career off in the 60s. That song actually made her the biggest selling female artist of that decade, of the 60s. And of course, coming from Liverpool, great contemporary of the Beatles, great friend of the Beatles, hugely charismatic lady. Anyone who had ever interviewed her over the years would tell you that. I interviewed her once, and just a really warm person, full of charisma, full of fun, a real spark, great Scouse wit about her, a very charming lady. And apart from the singing as well, the TV career, all those shows that we all loved and remembered.
Surprise, Blind Date. I mean, she was really among the architects of the changing of the modern British game show, if you like. She was in there with the producers and very collaborative in terms of its production. She was one of the main architects of those types of shows.
Yes, she was, and she carried those shows so well. And you remember the 80s, 90s, the viewing figures for some of Cilla's shows on ITV on a Saturday night. She was a mainstay of family weekend viewing here. And the kind of figures that she was capable of pulling in, the audiences, the charisma she had, a massively talented lady.
Other tributes coming in. I'm seeing ITV's Holly Willoughby saying, "Cilla, you were one incredible lady." Many more tributes coming in, not least from former Mirror editor and TV presenter Piers Morgan, who joins us now live on Sky News. And Piers, we saw your tweet a short time ago. You must be feeling pretty rotten right now.
Yeah, I think everybody will be, because Cilla was a real national treasure, and she had been for my entire life. I was born in 1965. She was a huge pop star in the 60s. She had, I think, the biggest selling single by any female artist of that entire decade, with Anyone Who Had a Heart. And then, very unusually, she became just as successful in a completely different sphere of show business, television, both on the BBC and ITV. And anyone who's worked at ITV, as I've done for the last few years, has a reverence for someone like Cilla Black, because she was such a consummate all-round entertainer. And, you use that phrase, national treasure, quite a lot these days. People do. I just think in her case, absolutely right. And a rare example of that phrase being spot on, that she really was.
And to be at the top for so many years, and to be a part of so many people's lives for so long, and that incredible catchphrase, Laura, Laura laughs. I mean, it just brings a smile to your face thinking about her.
Well, I had the great pleasure and honour of interviewing her for Life Stories, and it was one of the longest recordings we ever did. I remember it being over 3 hours without a break, and Cilla just went on this remarkable, emotional, funny, feisty, tough romp through her extraordinary life. And there was a woman who was a real trailblazer. You see all these female stars on Twitter immediately saying, if it wasn't for Cilla Black, then I doubt I would be in the position I'm in. Holly Willoughby and others who have followed after that. Cilla was one of the very first big female TV stars to break through that barrier and say, right, we're going to be just as big and just as good as the men on TV. And that was a hugely significant thing. You know, when you met Cilla, and I had the great pleasure of getting to know her quite well, she was always with a glass of champagne in her hand, a twinkle in her eye, great fun to be around. Very tough cookie, didn't take any nonsense, didn't suffer fools, always, I felt, played the role of a proper star, a bit like Joan Collins in that sense, who was one of her good friends. Just somebody who always had an impact in a room. You're always aware if Cilla was there, and I love that about her. And in that interview, I remember there were two moments when she got pretty emotional. One was about the great love of her life, her husband Bobby, who died a few years before, and I think one of the very few pluses of this news today is that she'll be reunited with Bobby, which she talked quite openly about wanting to do one day. She leaves behind 3 sons. I know one of them who's been working with her for years, Bobby Jr., great guy. They'll all be distraught, I'm sure, today. But she will be with her Bobby again. She got very emotional talking about him. It's one of the great marriages in show business. And she also got very emotional when she talked about the loss of their young daughter, Ellen, who was born prematurely and I think died after just a few hours. And that was a huge wrench in her life. So Cilla had experienced great highs, huge success and fortunes and all the rest of it. But at her heart, I think, was a family person who loved her husband, loved her kids, and had suffered great joy and tragedy in her life in that respect too.
A true star, Piers, as you say, but also a family woman, as you've been talking about as well, speaking about Bobby throughout her life, and also her son Jack as well. I remember particularly from my childhood, You Are a Mucky Kid, that song she sang about kids back in Liverpool, of course, where she hailed from, born Priscilla White.
Yeah, and she was, well known for being very pally with the Beatles. I'm sure Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr, who've known her for a very long time, will be very upset at this news. I think everyone will be. When you broke in with the breaking news there, I bet there'll be a lot of people in Britain who would feel, oh no, that's really sad news. Cilla Black has been someone who's been part of all our lives. I mean, how many people really have been a proper star over 6 decades in this country? And that was one of the very unusual positions that Cilla Black occupied in our lives. I can't remember when Cilla Black wasn't a big star that I was aware of from the day I was born. And I think that a lot of people will feel that way about her. And, I just had that great honor of getting to know her quite well and seeing that, beneath all the kind of cheery bonhomie and the celebrity side, was a very tough, very hard-working woman who came from, not massively good upbringing in Liverpool. Had to have it tough. There wasn't loads of money on the table in the household, and she really worked at her talent. Got a break. We saw recently in the Sheridan Smith drama portrayal of Cilla's life just what an amazing story it was. And then she really made the best, I think, of her talent and her ability, and she had this enduring appeal to the British public, which you can never quite put your finger on why some people have it. Paul McCartney, Bruce Forsyth and others, some who just straddle decade after decade because they just have something very special about them. And Cilla, both on screen and off, from my personal experience, fully deserved all the accolades that she will now get and all the plaudits. But important just to restate, I think at her heart she was a family person. And I don't think she ever really got over losing Bobby, and I think that was a huge void in her life. It was filled by her sons and their families, and I think that was a huge solace to her. But I do think that there will be something, to be said for her being reunited with this man who was the great love of her life.
Piers Morgan, thank you.
Thank you.
So Cilla Black, it's reported by the Daily Telegraph, who are quoting Spanish police, has died. The information we have so far, pre-post-mortem, is that it was of natural causes overnight. We are waiting for that confirmation from her agent, but we are bringing you this news as so many people now are saying that Spanish police have confirmed this. It seems that Cilla Black died from natural causes overnight at the age of 72. We'll bring you further detail, of course, as it comes through to us.